did you ever, did you send to the others that were here?
Can I have a courier send something there?
We could probably have Deidre send a message, maybe. It's like, I don't know, she's a mage.
There are maidens who can cast message sending.
I have the cantrip message, but I think that's like within a 30-foot reach.
Yeah, sending is level 3 spell.
Arteus, I'm having a really great time at my slumber party. You're missing out. He's just finally going to see.
You've been sending me messages for like 10 minutes, please stop.
Just like,
I know I'm just on the next floor, but...
I know we don't have a cap on cantrips, but please just leave me.
I'm trying to sleep. Please stop.
Okay, I love you.
Ellie, you notice your sleeves start to get a little wet, and you look up to see the water spirit that Arteus has. It hums in your mind in a chime. Arteus wants to talk.
Yeah, and I kind of wipe, the water off of my sleeve.
The water spirit bobs around you and your own spirit companions before gliding into the hallway. You follow her out there and walk to the lift at the end of the hallway. Talise, the water spirit, floats in front of the magical plate, and you see glyphs begin to glow, and the platform soon follows. And the lift elevates up a single floor. You next step onto a cushioned, carpeted hallway, and Talise floats out and goes through one of the doors. You're about to knock when the door opens. You see a neat office with a large desk at the end, a wall of books on the right, and a couch to the left. Arteus is at the end behind the desk writing something down. You notice the mage hand float above you and beckon you inside. You step in, and it shuts the door behind you. Ah, I see Talise was able to fetch you. He finishes his papers with a stroke of the quill and stores them away in the desk. Come, I have something I want to show you. A painting. He stands up and gestures to a secondary door on your left. And he opens it. You see that this is an adjoining room to a large bedroom with a tile floor and a 4-post bed, a balcony, and a smaller writing desk, all tastefully arranged. You can easily assume that this is like his room. He stands in front of the small writing desk, and on there are several portraits. One is of a woman with red hair, and then another of a woman with... She's a green-skinned archfey with flowers in her hair. She has these elegant antlers that wrap around her head, and then a mischievous grin that smiles back at you. He hands it to you. It's about like a 8.5 by 11 portrait size. Probably a little bigger, maybe like 11 by 14. This is Kira now. Well, as I remember her anyway.
This is my mom? Like, this is probably, the first time Ellie has, really seen, her family. Oh.
So, I was thinking about, having a smaller version made. Perhaps a locket. I thought you should see her.
Aw, how do you say look that?
He blushes a little and nods silently. Good, I'm glad. So, lessons tomorrow.
Would I have lessons tomorrow?
He gives you this long, suffering look. Yes. What did you think you would be doing here?
I thought it was gonna be later.
I like other things I want to do. Whistling.
Do you have a specific time that is more convenient to you?
Maybe like a few hours after I wake up? Or...
Oh, well, we don't have to start that early. It's fine. He's like, well, I mean, I am somewhat flexible on the time for tomorrow. We don't have to start incredibly early at night.
Hey, that sleep during the day. Oh, what a bummer. You know what? Yeah, I sleep during the night, and you're awake during the night. So, shucks.
Elendriel, do you think this is a becoming trait of a leader? One who shirks responsibility?
No.
Good, then we shall meet at 3.
Okay. Thanks, Arteus.
He takes you over to the door. Well, I am so glad they were able to find a way to squeeze me into your busy schedule. Good morning, Princess Elendriel.
And I kind of curtsy with my pajama bottoms. Good morning.
Didn't you go?
So, you go back to your room?
No, Arteus says I have princess classes tomorrow.
Oh, how exciting!
Ew.
As long as they're not history or politics. But if they're dance, that'll be a lot of fun. Or
Wait, you have to know history and politics as a princess?
Right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's the worst.
but it's okay.
Hey, maybe if you're lucky, I'll teach you war magic. Kiara's like smiling, like, yeah, that sounds great.
What we should do is horseback riding. Do you know how to ride a horse? You don't know how to ride a horse.
She knows how to be a horse.
I mean, I've been a horse.
It's completely different. You don't just be a horse and then be a princess. You have to know how to ride.
Be a horse princess.
I wonder how the logistics of the dress would work on that.
Yeah.
Alright, well, man, this already sounds hard. I have to learn how to dance, politics, history, and riding horses. Maybe I should just maybe just tell Artie back to do it. I'll tell him I'm busy tomorrow.
And then Kiara just like,
He's not gonna let it go.
Yeah, this isn't something you can just say, oh, I'm busy tomorrow, and then keep putting it off forever, because then we're just gonna be stuck here forever, too. That'll be really awkward. Like, how do I explain that to my fiance?
Oh, I guess that's true. We can't be in the Arcane Empire forever.
sorry, my cat actually just started hugging my arm. So, in story, I'm just gonna have Oculus just like clinging on to like Kiara's like shoulder. She's just like scratching his head. And she's like, oh, so the thing about school is that the lessons are terrible. I mean, like, you have a class all to yourself, and you have a friend already. You don't have to make friends with new people. It's not like you got like 30 other people in there. Anyway,
What's that about?
oh, just highly
Yeah.
competitive atmosphere. It's
What kind of schools did you go to?
she's like, oh, military schools. She's like, oh, military schools.
Do they teach
You're like,
princess?
question like, what do you think? Like, what kind of schools are there? Well, I went to the mage school. That was quite fun. Mages go to mage school, fighters go to fighter school, and unless you have a good overlap between the two of them, you don't really leave the fighting school. I mean, everyone goes to the same schools when they're younger in order to learn like all their like typical lessons, history, dance. She's like kind of like makes this little giggle sound like dance, and
Like a university?
so was the mage school's like yeah,
Or
yeah,
an
she's like
academy?
yeah. Although it feels more academy-like for the mages, a lot more books. Yeah. She sort of sits there, she sort of thinks about it for a moment. There's a point where, like, you're just living in the same place as all of your mates, and they all have to, like, learn fighting with you, and then you run a bunch of combat drills, and stuff like that. But honestly, if you have a good few people to learn with, it's quite fast. It feels like it passes a breeze. Even history.
I just have to make sure there's other princesses.
Well, you have one. And then she looks at Luna, and maybe a shooter friend stares at Luna. And I suppose if you want moral support, Deirdre's smarter than I am. She just immediately like Deirdre's smarter than I am. And Theron's very patient as a ghost.
He's like,
support groups.
She's joking, obviously, but because she wasn't trying to pass it off on everyone else. But she was just.
Theron was like half asleep at that point. He's like, what?
It's got like these really nice braids going on.
You're just a good emotional support, Goose. It's okay. Go back to sleep.
Pushes the pillow his way.
Yeah, he's out at this point.
How about this? If you don't like your lessons, we play hooky and we ditch. Well, we made his hair look really nice, and he's
gonna draw on his face.
maybe not black. Use the glitter pen so that it shows under only certain lights.
Oh.
Use some of the lipstick that I don't like.
Perfect. You know what? Yeah.
The lipstick I don't like.
Powder pink looks really nice.
She takes it and just starts drawing swirls on his cheeks.
Magical, pretty Kiara's solution. Don't like it, so stick it out for a day or two. If you don't like it, we ditch and we run.
Okay, yeah.
Well, like, good enough plan.
Yeah, I'll try my best. It was like, seems like there's a lot writing on this. And I've never been royalty. I don't even know what that
Well,
really means.
think about it this way. If you're in school, you're not actually doing the ruling.
Oh, I guess that's true.
Combat training, you're not technically combat. Never mind. That's a terrible analogy. Kiara looks a little haunted.
Alright,
like,
do you guys wind down at this point?
probably like talking about like vilify until our
I gotta
entire
get this all in.
like just owl bear feathers everywhere afterward. We're all lounging and like Theren like had to be moved so that he could die. And like probably like falling asleep, just talking about fun things like kind of flowers. Okay, cool. What is it
What's
about
your
abs
deepest,
that makes
darkest
us so
secret?
I started talking about Arteus, and I'm like, hey, Luna, how was your interview with Arteus?
It was okay.
Like, did he make any face movements?
Face movements?
Yeah, he's never happy or sad
Did he make any face
or
movements?
angry.
Oh, he did smile a little bit.
Yeah.
What? Blasphemy, I've never seen it.
You did. You really did.
The smile's so small that you have to like really notice it, because otherwise you just
What do you mean you have to really
like
notice
this.
it? Some people just smile small.
Some people just smile. Thinking of Galaki, yes.
Yeah.
A lot of Galaki vibes there.
He just lives in like land.
Yeah.
No, they live in that same vein.
What about you, Kiara? Were you able to get a beat on Arteus? I mean, you did spend a lot of time with him.
And he is just like at this point, she's tracked the land. So Oculus, she's like leaning back. Oculus is like right here. She's just like petting his ears, and she's just like, and she just like pauses, and like her eyes just go like into a faraway land.
You alright? What's your guys' problem with my brother?
No, she only like pauses and like in her mind palace, she is just back in the moment, like, why are you like this? Is it royalty thing? Oh well, if you make a face, I'm putting you back to sleep. and so she's like petting his ears. She like resumes petting his ear, like Oculus's ears, and she's like there for a moment, but honestly, it's just to establish some not stress.
Oh, yeah, I guess you can be paid that much.
I think she's very nice.
Yeah, she does this like tight smile. She's like, "Oh, you'll learn more about that in history class." Something
I
to look forward to.
honestly fall asleep during history class. Very long.
Me too, honestly.
What? Your history doesn't have war or anything.
It does. It's just a lot of dates to remember, and it's a lot of detail. I'm just glad that I finally got all my memories back, and I can just remember myself.
Oh, try that.
Just remember the event itself.
That war.
Yeah.
Kara's like, oh, Ellie, that's not the mission statement. Try that.
What's that?
Look, I don't know what your problem with my brother is, but he's actually really, really nice. He can be a little bit strict. And he's a little in love with book learning. But,
reminds me of my son.
But he's still pretty nice. I think he's one of my favorite family members. I think he is.
Well, there's probably a reason for that. He seems to care a lot about you enough to know when you break something of it.
I don't have anything against Arteus. I can't get a beat on him. I tell him things, and his face is still the same.
Yeah, he just doesn't know how to.
Man, it's not that he doesn't have them. They're just subtle.
Yeah, they're subtle.
He just doesn't notice it.
Like, they're extreme. You have to really, really, really watch it. Once you get to know him better, you'll understand when he's really smiling or whatnot.
So you guys all fall into either your sleep or your trance, and elves can sleep, but often choose not to because their trances are so much quicker. And sometimes, every once in a while, an elf likes to sleep, and sometimes too tired to help it. Kira, you slip into a state of sleep and heaven.
Yeah, tracks.
You see a land swathed in an intense heat and bathed in war. Winged beings soar in the burning air and swords swing. A female who appears somewhat elven and somewhat demonic. She appears she has gray hair and scars, black armor, and she screams primally as she fires an arrow, and around her neck is this glowing metal shard. And then in the final, it's a very brief vision, so in the final figments of this vision, there's this older female, an elf, who is wielding pointed stilettos, and she stands next to the archer and throws her daggers, and as the vision fades, you see a single black feather float down. No.
She's never seen these. I've never seen these actors, have I?
Not never seen actors. Make a religion check.
Ah. Okay. Which one of you is a D20? That's you. you're not a D12. Thank you. Plus, and this was a religion? 16 plus 3. 19!
It's from Goth Mom.
Oh, nice.
Goth Mom, she can't directly communicate with you because you're not a cleric, so, like, so she's trying to send you a message about the glowing metal shard appeared to be like a broken part of like a weapon, and you think that's the impression that you get is that is
kind of like a broken sword that we have.
Make an project.
Plus 3, that is 1. Math.
Yeah, you put two and two together, and you're like, oh, maybe that's where one of the other shards is.
And they were elves. They were like.
Yeah, well, like there was this old elven woman, and then next to her was another woman who appeared part elven and part demon. Like she was kind of a mix going on.
Kiara's sitting there, like, in the way where it's like, oh, why'd she have to go get milk? She's not here. Just like, oh, so much easier for her here. Just. Did I have any sort of, like, and they were where again?
They were in this, you didn't recognize the place. It was just a land swathed in intense heat and bathed in war, and it's basically a really, really hot place that a battle was occurring on.
So it feels, it's not like, it doesn't feel like another plane yet.
Make another Arcana check.
13 plus 3?
I mean, you've only been to one other plane, but given the, like, stark difference of vision versus, like, material plane, and how hot it was, like, you think it might be a different plane. Because you don't know of any places on the material plane that are super hot, that hot.
Yeah. She knows Abyssal, so she would assume that the plane probably maybe had. Maybe just hot. It's very temperature.
Yeah, I mean, as someone who's studied Abyssal?
Yeah.
Yeah, you know that Orgrimmar is hot. And there are... One side's hot, one side's cold.
Okay. And so she sort of like sits up and she's like, is it morning or is it like evening? She'll like awaken.
Kara then talks to Oculus and scolds him for swiping shiny bits off of Emperor Arteus and other nobles' attire. He got a little cocky after the Feywild went so well, and Kara tells him to behave. She then sends him outside to fly around and survey the surrounding area. So you go to the balcony and send him outside, and he flies around. You'd see the ocean, the city, the fields, and the mountains. Is there anywhere you want to go?
She's sort of just trying to get the scale of the place, because she hasn't been outside of it yet, so she just wants to know positionally, where are they? It just is sort of like I'm in a foreign place. And I'm outnumbered in a foreign place. I just want to establish what, where, and why is, and that way, if it really doesn't work out, I was joking last night, but if it really doesn't work out, I want to know our
Fair enough. Okay, so Oculus flies around. It's a large city, very big. There's an upper tier. It's built on to a natural slope, and beneath it, the ocean hits like a It's atop the bluffs overseeing the ocean. The castle is at the zenith, and then the city is below it. It's obviously a citadel. It's built to withstand forces. It has a defensive position. There are walls that go throughout the city in like sections. They have these towers that send out these waves of energy, and Oculus is flying around and notices that it's not insanely bright, so you gather that this is some sort of sun shield that is being generated under giant floating crystals that are at least the size of people, but it varies. Oculus follows the edge of the city and sees that there's a magical circuit that creates this shade. Yeah, the shade covers all of the castle and the upper tier. There's a second one, but it's more of an awning. And as Oculus flies out, he can see the bones of more of those towers being constructed, so there is the intent to expand. Next, as Oculus flies around, you can see people are up. They simply aren't arcane elves. There are people of different races, so you might be a little surprised to find immigrants. You'd find like half-orcs and a lot of races that don't have a big standing in the world. Like, so orcs don't have a big standing in this part of the world. Minotaur don't have a big standing in any part of the world. Goblins, hobgoblins, tieflings. Yeah. And it's a port city because you can see the docks and like the ocean, and there are humans here, not a ton. A big amount of unattended animals just walking around. They seem to have a lot like bags or carts attached to them, and people don't question it. They go into stores and come out with groceries or whatever goods they got, and Oculus can fly and see their fields being worked. With crops and a big field of like herd animals. He goes over the ocean and he sees ships coming in and out, and then to the immediate north are more bluffs, but they're flat and have grasslands on top of it. There are these country estates sort of like nestled into the grassland and woods there. You can see horses. There are some wild ones, but there are some tamed ones too. And it's pretty in its own way. It's kind of got an overcast to it. It's not incredibly bright. Kind of envisioned it to be like Oregon or like Washington. Yeah, it has cloud cover. Things are green because there's a lot of rain and a lot of mist. It has that ocean fog rolling around, and so he flutters over to the barracks, and that's where it's quiet because most of the barracks consist of arcane elves, and they're asleep at this time. Kira then tells Oculus to not go near the barracks. The bat reluctantly agrees and instead goes to the fields and plucks up a little flower for Kira. So then she gets a good view of the castle. It has probably 30-ish towers of varying sizes, and that includes them also being on a tower and then kind of jutting out from one and being its own mini tower. They have balconies, and the walls of the castle are at least 40 feet, so it's pretty tall. At one point, while Oculus is flying above it, he can see that there's a big central room with a dome over it and an interior courtyard, and probably several dining rooms with the big windows. It's made of gray stone, and you could easily surmise that it's locally quarried if you just look at the local rocks. Serena says this is how Kira passes her time before the others get up. She writes about what they did in the Feywild, and then asks me, the GM, if Kira would know about extraplanar wars, because Kira did receive education on material plane wars, but I explained probably not, because this is such a weird conversation. Hang on. She writes about the Feywilds, and Kira does know about the wars on the material plane, but does not know a lot about extraplanar wars because nobody does, since someone would have to be at those wars, record them, and then come across the planes with the records, and frankly, as a GM, I don't see that happening very often in the world I made. McKenna then suggests that there's probably some eccentric that sends them out, but it's just for their personal book and not for the good of society, because they're really just a big nerd. And then Serena says that Kira's settled down and Ellie is the next to wake up. We then go and do a little break.
Hi, this is Tiffany, your GM. Thank you for watching. You can find us on YouTube and in podcast form. We do not stream because it just hasn't worked out in our test runs. But regardless, we thank you for listening. We update when I can. My work and my life keeps me from editing, and my non-detail-oriented mind keeps editing hard. I have to re-record my lines or sometimes someone else's lines, and that's why the updates are taking so long. And it's very specific, the work, so I can't really delegate it. Anyway, thank you for bearing with us, and we hope to hear from you soon.